Hello and welcome to the Home and Learn course for Visual Basic.net. I'm Kenny Carney and today we are going to do something quite tricky if you've never met these before. They are loops. We'll start out with 4 loops. And it can be quite tricky, as I said. So if you get stuck, I would come to the website, homeandlearn.co.uk, and to the for loops section, and you can do the online tutorial as well. And there's also some exercises right down the bottom, and the answers are there. So you've got the website, we're on section 4 loops, and do that. Right, let's have a look at the coding window. And if you create a new project and add a button, you can keep it on the default button 1. And if you also add a list box, one of these list box, you can change the font as well. Oops, so I did a second one. Hit on that. You can change the font. I went up to here. Font properties, bold 12. So let's have a look at the coding window. Yeah, I've already got something set up here for button 1. So for your button, if you double click it, it will create the code stub for you. And we're doing 4 loops. So what is a loop? And why do you need them? Well, for this type of program that you're doing, it's called sequential programming. Sequential programming, which means if you click the button there, it will start from here, private sub on line 4. And it wants to go down all the way to the end on 10, right to end sub. So in other words, it doesn't want to go back up, and a loop is simply a way to force your program to go back up. So if it started say at 6, it would go to 8, and then you force it back up to 6, it would go back down, force it back up, etc. So what is the point? Why are you forcing it to go back up? Well, you do so because you want to repeat a line or lines of code repeatedly. Let me type that one up. Loop force. No, I don't. Let's do execute a line or lines of code repeatedly. Have I spelled that right? So that's what your loops do. Repeatedly. Let me give you some examples. Let's start off with a variable. I'm going to do dim loop increment value. Loop increment value as, and we'll have it as an integer. Now loops need a start value, they need an end value, and a way to get from one to the other. So you need a start value, you need an end value, and a way to get from one to the other. So you start the loop, for loop anyway, with the word for. That tells Visual Basic that you want to go into a loop. Then you need a variable of some kind. So we've got loop increment value there. You need to set it to a value. So we'll store 1 in there. That's our starting point. That's the start value, right? End value, you start with the word 2. It goes 2, and you can either type like a straight value like that, 10. Or you can set up a variable there if you like. If you press the enter key, you'll see it's got a next. And next there means next in the sequence. So this is the start value 1. It's not in here. That's the start value. End value is this one. And the way to get from one to the other is with this next in the sequence. And by default, Visual Basic, it just adds 1 to whatever you've got in here in your loop variable, which I've got loop increment value. So it automatically adds 1 to loop increment. There is a way to get it other values in this, for for a sequence. For example, you might want to go through odd numbers or even numbers. So you can step in values of 2 instead of 1, and you'll see how to do that later. For now, let me use that list box, and I'll show you the lib sequence. List box, and it's items, and it's add, round brackets, and let me just add loop increment. Is that right? That's not right, is it? Increment. That's still not right, is it? Increment. I'll spell it right soon. Loop increment value. Spell value wrong as well. And I want an ampersand, and that variable. Get a space there. Right. Loop increment value. Right, so I just want to have a look at what sort of values we're getting. So debug, we'll start. For loop increment value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is this. So it automatically gets one added to loop increment value. That starts at 1, and for next in the sequence is 2, next in the sequence is 3, each time around the loop, and then it gets 1 added to it. Let me now add up the numbers 1 to 10. So let's start with a new variable. Let's just call it answer. I'll store an integer, and the only thing we need here is answer equals answer plus loop increment value. This is why you're using the loop, because this changes each time around the loop, and you can use it. Right, it's quite common. What do I want to do here? Let me add something else to here just before this. I will add some answer equals and an ampersand, and answer, no ampersand. Have I got enough? Equals. Yeah, let's see what that does. I'm adding up the numbers 1 to 10. We start. See if it works. Answer equals 1. Yeah, I don't think you can see that quite clearly. Maybe add a space there. A space there. Move that one back up a bit. Right, I think that's okay. Debug, start. For loop. It's a little bit better. Answer equals 1. Loop increment value equals 1. So the first line for answer, it starts off with a value of 0. So I haven't put anything in there, so the default is 0. So if you start here, answer plus loop increment value. Answer starts off with 0 plus 1, which is from here, right? Then that gets stored back in answer, which is 1. And for the next in the sequence, loop increment value is going to be 2, right? That one, loop increment value, that's going to be 2. And that's going to be 1. 1 plus 2 plus 3, and 3 gets stored back into answer. And the next time around the loop increment is going to be 3. That's the next in the sequence. So this is going to be 3 as well. 3 plus 3 is 6, and that gets stored in answer. Next time around the loop, we've got 4 for the increment value. 1 automatically gets added to it. And this one was 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. So 10 gets stored back into answer. And so on. It keeps going down. And it calculates that one. Let me do something outside the loop. This box. Items. Add. Add something else here. What should we add? Final answer equals and answer. Add that one. Start debugging. Final answer equals 55. So we've added all the numbers up from 1 to 10. And the power of loops, you might want to add up the numbers 1 to 100. So just type 100 there instead of 10. And now, it's got all these loop increment values. Look at that. Final answer 50, 50. Or 1,000. See if it's equally fast to add up 1,000 numbers. The power of looping. Yeah, that's quite fast as well. So went through all of these numbers to give you the final answer. 10,000 might be a bit slower. Let's see. 4 loops, a little bit of a pause. That's not too bad. 10,000 numbers. And there's the final answer. Let me change that back to 10. Now suppose you wanted, for the next in the sequence, you wanted to go up in 2s and not 1. In that case you can add something called step. So step 2, and steps of 2 for the sequence. And that will get you the odd numbers. Want to get the odd numbers or the even numbers? The odd numbers, that one I think. Debug. And steps of 2. Loop increment value is 1. Then steps 2 means 3 for the next sequence. And steps of 2 will be 5 for the next sequence. It's 7 and 9. That adds up just the odd numbers, is that? Yeah. From 1 to 10. And if you want the even numbers, then again it's going to be step 2s. And you can start out at 2. I think that would work. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There's now the loop increment value. Or you could do any number you like here. Or steps of 3 or 4, or whatever you want. But if you want the default in steps of 1, then you don't need that at all. So to sum up, a loop is a way to get your program to go back up again, because it automatically wants to go down from private sub to end sub. So you use a loop to force it to go back up. And the reason you do that is to execute a line or lines of code over and over again. That's why you are doing a loop. Right, I think we will leave it there for this video. We'll come back to do loops. And as I said, if you get stuck, if you go back to the website, and you can do it online, the text version, and you can do some exercises as well. I will see you in the next video.